Hey there, 8th graders, and welcome to this explainer. We're about to set off on a seriously fascinating journey back in time, stepping right into the bustling, noisy, and rapidly changing streets of the past. But, this isn't just about memorizing some old history. This is about understanding how the dramatic events of yesteryear can actually shape who you are and the character you're building today. So get comfortable, focus in, and let's get ready to learn.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Picture this for a second. What actually happens when millions of people from all corners of the globe decide to pack up their entire lives and move to the exact same place at the exact same time? Seriously, imagine the sheer scale of it. Think of the bustling energy, the confusion, the sudden, desperate need for more food, more water, and more roofs over everyone's heads. It sounds like absolute chaos, right? Well, it absolutely was, and it was the reality that sparked one of the most transformational eras in all of history.
Section 1. The Urban Explosion, Building the Cities of Tomorrow. So, zooming in to the late 1800s and early 1900s, the world was industrializing incredibly fast. Massive cities like New York and Chicago were growing at a speed that is honestly almost hard to comprehend today. And this incredible growth wasn't just magic. It was fueled by millions of immigrants arriving with one simple, powerful dream: to find factory jobs and build a better life for their families. This brings us right to urbanization, which is the rapid growth of cities fueled by immigration and a massive surge of people settling right near where the jobs are. And as these immigrants poured into the cities, they didn't just randomly scatter. No, they formed incredibly vibrant ethnic neighborhoods. Imagine walking down a street and suddenly hearing Italian, and then turning a corner and hearing Polish or Yiddish. It's like a giant puzzle. They created these mini communities where they could share their language, cook their traditional foods, and support one another in a brand new, frankly overwhelming world.
And this brilliantly illustrates the double-edged sword of this massive movement. On one hand, we've got the immense positive impacts, an unbelievable surge of energy, beautiful cultural diversity, and those rich ethnic neighborhoods that brought brand new traditions and ideas. But on the flip side, when you have that many people arriving all at once, you run straight into a brick wall of immediate, real-world struggles. We're talking about fierce competition for jobs, severe housing shortages because they literally couldn't build homes fast enough, and intense cultural misunderstandings.
Section 2. Growing Pains and Tenements, the harsh reality of rapid growth. As we look at this era, we really have to pause and understand the human cost here. The amazing energy of the city came with deeply harsh realities, and the physical burdens placed on these new arrivals were just staggering. Because of the massive housing shortages we just talked about, families were forced to live in tenements. Now, a tenement is a cramped building with incredibly poor living conditions and a total lack of proper sanitation. Just to put that into perspective and give you an idea of how densely packed it wasn't uncommon in places like New York's Lower East Side to find over a dozen people sharing a single, tiny, dark room. No indoor plumbing, no ventilation. It was overcrowded, it was unsafe, and it was a daily struggle just to stay healthy. Let's quickly summarize the core challenges these rapidly expanding cities faced. First up, massive immigration directly led to unprecedented city growth. There were simply way more people than there was space. Second, this intense overcrowding naturally caused severe health and safety problems. Diseases could spread like wildfire in those packed tenements. And third, the mixing of so many entirely different cultures unfortunately led to deep misunderstandings and prejudice. Massive, incredibly diverse populations were struggling to safely and peacefully coexist.
Section 3. Culture Clash and Nativism, the Rise of Social Conflict. Now, whenever you have different groups of people living right on top of each other, competing for the exact same limited resources, friction is pretty much inevitable. Cultural misunderstandings began to erupt into serious social conflict as the fight for factory jobs and decent wages became a literal matter of survival. And this friction gave rise to an ideology known as nativism, which is the belief that native-born citizens should have more rights and opportunities than immigrants. It is absolutely crucial to understand where this came from. It was largely born out of fear and intense economic competition. Some native-born Americans looked at the changing cities, felt their own jobs and wages were threatened, and they pushed back aggressively against the incoming immigrants, demanding unequal treatment.
So you might be wondering, why are we, as 8th graders today, studying these conflicts from way over 100 years ago? Well, because history is a mirror. Our goal today is building communities that welcome diversity while addressing problems fairly. By looking at how terribly prejudice and fear divided people in the past, we learn exactly how vital it is to solve our modern problems with fairness and empathy. We learn what not to do so we can be better.
Section 4, Morality, Unity, and Peace. The bridge to character.
Let's move to and see how this builds our own character today. We've looked at the historical facts, the rapid urbanization, the social clashes. Now we're going to bridge that history directly to you, to your personal character, and to how you view the world around you. Psalm 133 verse 1 says, "How good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity." Think about that word for a second, unity. When we look back at the nativism and the harsh cultural prejudice of the early 1900s, it's the exact opposite of this verse, isn't it? True unity means overcoming those fears, recognizing the value in every single person, and choosing to live together not in conflict, but in peace.
So the crucial point is how we actually apply this knowledge. Here at HeroesMart Academy, our Godly Learner series intertwines biblical morality with your education for a very specific reason. Because ultimately, education without morality hurts. I mean, what's the point of being incredibly smart and supposedly highly educated if you just continue to make bad choices that hurt yourself and the people around you? We study history so we don't repeat its prejudices. And finally, keeping a spiritual mind brings peace. We've got to pair what we know in our heads with what is right in our hearts.
And all of this is anchored in a really beautiful promise. Romans 8:6-7 promises peace of mind to everyone who keeps his or her mind spiritual. Contrast that profound peace of mind with the extreme anxiety, the social tension, and the prejudice we saw during the rapid urbanization of the late 1800s. When we engage with this content through a spiritual lens, our experience is completely different. We find peace, we find understanding, and we find a true desire to help one another rather than just competing against one another.
Which brings us to our final, deeply important question for you to take away today. Think about this. How does a spiritual mindset change how you treat people who are different from you? As you walk the halls of your school this week, or as you go out into your community, I really want you to reflect on that. Let your education make you smart, absolutely. But let your biblical morality make you kind, fair, and unified. Thank you so much for joining me for this Explainer 8th graders. Keep learning, keep growing, and I will see you next time.